The show tonight is called Who Really Cares? I have a very special guest with me today. Her name is Lyndsee Bell. Lyndsee, thank you for joining me. Lyndsee is actually one of my piano students, and she approached me back in September with something she was really, really concerned about. And we're going to get more into that in the second show. But on this one, I want Lyndsee to tell you what it's like to be a teenager in this day and age. Because you're how old again?
I'm 16.
16. So what is it like? I mean, I remember when I was 16, where there was enough pressure as it was. But with you, what kind of pressures do you have? What do you deal with at school?
Well, basically, on a daily basis, it's, you know, the friends that I do have, if they are Christian, they don't say it at school. They don't make a big deal about it. And they often, because of that, get sucked into a lifestyle that, you know, isn't exactly what their parents want them to do, and that often leads to a lot of parents and there's no communication between them because, I mean, now we have cell phones that we carry around, we have Facebook, we have all this technology that is so enabling for us to be able to go behind our parents' back and it's so easy to make a Facebook profile that you're in a different name that your parents don't know about that your friends do, and you can pretty much get away with anything now, and that's leading a lot of people into a lifestyle that isn't right, and it's hard for a teenager who knows and recognizes that it is wrong to be able to thrive socially and feel like they're still confident in what they're doing.
Right. I would think that with what I mean, as a teen, I mean, we went through situations too, but we didn't have, like you said, the technology. We didn't have all the different stuff to deal with. And I would think, especially, you know how, I remember in my day, a few years ago, but I remember when someone got the idea or put out something that was unkind or wasn't really true, it just kind of stayed within the circle of people. But with the technology, I would think, you know, is this what they call the cyberbullying?
Right.
Okay.
Right. It's one text message, one post on Facebook, immediately 50 other people can see it, and they spread it onto their friend. It's just, I mean, to be able to spread one unkind word to somebody the whole school could know about it the next day. But
it seems like, I would think there would be not only a lack of trust in God and things like this, which is where, you know, we'd like to see, especially as a parent, we'd like to see our children live and walk godly lives. But I would think that because of the kind of bullying that comes out of that, I would think that it would be very hard to stay strong as a Christian.
It is. On a daily basis, it's a struggle to say, well, where's the line between being a Christian and being someone who's just avoiding, because if you're a kid who just says, I'm a Christian, I'm not going to sit with these people, I'm a Christian, I'm not going to do this, I mean, you can say that person is strong in a way that they're not leading themselves into temptation, but on the other hand, you could say that they're avoiding people that they could reach in a way. So it's hard to find that balance, and it's hard to grow in those situations because if there is Christians at school, they're really hard to find.
But you marked off some of these, and one I see right here is one of the concerns is where is the line that should be set between a boyfriend and his girlfriend?
Right.
So what kind of, I guess when you talk about that, what are you searching for? What kind of help are you asking for on that?
Well, I know that a lot of struggles that teenagers have and a lot that people talk about is sex. It's a big thing among teenagers, and everybody's, you know, talking. I mean, even 6th, 7th, and 8th graders are talking about it now, which is scary to me. But and it's just such a big thing that I think people don't realize the seriousness of what they're doing, and especially because teenagers are so hormonal, and it's just all about what they're feeling. I mean, I know I'm one of them. I just sometimes you just do things and it's stupid, but there's ways that you can control some of what you do, and I think that teenagers are just, you know, I'm a kid, I'm supposed to make mistakes, you know, and nobody really understands the importance of setting limits and why it's important, and even if, you know, your friends aren't doing the same thing, because, you know, if you're someone who, you know, like I wear a purity ring to school and I get made fun of every day for it, but, you know, sometimes I mean, it doesn't bother me, but I know for other people who are Christian that I know who, you know, not that they have to wear a purity ring, but they'll joke about the same things that other people joke about, and that sometimes just aren't appropriate.
Because another one you mentioned was about why should we set a line.
Right.
And so what you're saying is, you know, you need to set your boundaries as to what you're willing to do. Because I know sometimes, I know with my son, although he's now 25, he would look at me and go, well, Mom, you don't understand. You don't get it. But what he doesn't understand, I think sometimes what teenagers don't understand from a parent's perspective, we went through the same stuff. We went through the same hormonal stuff as well. But I know for myself, I didn't need to depend on someone else's opinion to show what my value and worth was. Then another one you had mentioned was, isn't this the age where I can make mistakes? Well, you kind of addressed that already. And really, from an adult's perspective, no, because these mistakes are going to stay with you forever. So you have to be really careful about the mistakes, because they could live with you for a long time. Okay, here's another one. Popular people have it easy. Is it really that bad that I want to be one of them? Explain what you mean by that.
Well, it's so easy to be it's really easy to be mean to somebody. It's really easy to, when somebody else is making fun of a person, or, I mean, even just joking around, some people don't even realize that the things they say are so, it's considered as bullying. I mean, if you step out and look at it, it's really bullying.
Okay, another point you had was, what's the point of being a Christian? Now, you already touched on that a little bit, but it's really tough, you know, when people know that you are Christian, as to standing on your principles and what you believe in, when you have all this other stuff coming at you. Personally, how do you feel about that?
Sometimes you feel alone in what you're doing, and especially if it gets to the point where you don't feel like God is there, and you're already, because I mean, every Christian already has their doubts, and when you're alone and you're having your doubts, or you're sitting at school and you're sitting in a classroom full of people that you feel like don't get you and don't care, it's hard to see God there, and it's hard to want to see God there.
Right.
So
that's got to be difficult.
It is really.
Yeah, it's got to be really difficult. It sounds to me like you're looking for someone or a group that would actually help you to have someone to talk to, have like an accountability, give you some tools, because I'm sure because I know your mom, you know, and I know that your parents are very supportive of you, and I know that they help you have a lot of tools to work with. But there's a lot of girls that don't have that, and they don't have that support. And so it sounds to me like this is something that you're looking for, is that type of an organization. What do you think, to our listening audience, what would you want them to walk away with from what we're talking about tonight?
Well, probably that there's so much that is avoided every day, that is said, well, you know, I don't need to deal with this right now. I don't need to deal with, you know, this certain problem, but it really does need to be dealt with, and there's always a way for things to happen that are good, because I know as a teenager nobody feels like, you know, you're respected enough, or there's never enough for you, there's never enough help. It's always unfair, and it's so negative as a teenager. It's so easy to be negative, and especially when you're surrounded by negative people every day. And I think that people should just realize that it's not as bad as it seems, And there's a million and one ways that you can help. And prayer is not going to just magically, it's not just magically going to give you what you want.
Right.
You have to open your eyes and say, I need to stop, blindly, holding out my hand and let God lead me everywhere. I got to open my eyes and walk next to him and realize that he wants me to do something. What it comes down to is, it's if you're confident and you like who you are, suddenly everything else, nobody else really, their opinion doesn't matter. And a lot of people don't realize that it's not just saying, I don't care what they think. It's saying, I know who I am enough to know that if you don't like me, okay, well, I like myself enough for the both of us. Then,
That's a good point. That's a very good point.